Hello and welcome to Immigration with Kathia. I am Kathia Quiros, an immigration attorney, and I have this show to explain immigration laws, to teach you about them, to answer your questions, and to spread the word of God, the one that allows us as immigrants to be here in the United States and to look forward to the day when we will all have legal documents and we would live outside of the shadows. And because we are here, we're honest, we're intelligent, we're responsible people, and we came to the United States looking for the American dream, looking for a better future for our children. So today we're going to talk about VAWA. VAWA is a visa for victims of domestic violence, and it is more complicated than it sounds. So I'm gonna try to explain it in a very basic way. And so this show is in English. If you have questions that you would like me to answer, please do them in English. I have a show that it's in Spanish that goes every day at 8:30 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. And it's called Inmigrando con Kathia. And you can be a part of that show every morning at 8:30. But this show is in English. I do it once a week. So it's only for the English-speaking people. So you can start writing your questions in English. Okay, let's talk about VAWA. VAWA, it's a law. It's a law, was created by Congress, and it's specifically designed to protect those vulnerable people who are victims of domestic violence. And this domestic violence can be physical or can be psychological violence. And the key here is that you have to have been an immigrant, you have to have been a victim of domestic violence, and the abuser must be your U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, or your U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident son or daughter over 21 years of age. Okay, so the requirements are that in order for you to apply for VAWA and obtain an employment authorization and later the green card in the United States, you must be an immigrant. It doesn't matter how you enter the United States, you must be in the United States as an immigrant. Documented or undocumented, it doesn't matter. And you are not only an immigrant, but you must be a victim. So you have to submit evidence that you are a victim of domestic violence, psychological or physical. And the abuser is a U.S. citizen, spouse, or son or daughter over 21, or a legal permanent resident spouse. So when you have all these requirements, then you can start thinking about doing a VAWA case. So when you file for VAWA and you say, government, Department of Immigration, I need protection, please give me this visa, you have to submit evidence that you were a victim, that you suffered a great psychological or physical damage, and that you need the protection of this visa. Okay, so the key here, the key element is evidence. Evidence means proofs. You have to submit proof. An easy VAWA case, and there's nothing easy really in immigration, but an easy VAWA case is when I have a police report, when there is a domestic violence incident and the police comes and the police testifies that they were witness of a domestic violence incident, then you have the proof. It's easy to say, I've been the victim. Well, in many cases, I don't have domestic violence reports from the police because many victims do not ever call the police. And they don't do it because they want to protect the abuser. And maybe you who are listening to me right now, you've never been a victim of domestic violence and you cannot understand that. But it's very common in the world in the cycle of abuse, it's very common for the victim that they will try to protect the abuser. So in many cases, I don't have police reports to submit as evidence of the abuse. So in those cases where I don't have a police report, I need to submit other types of evidence. And some other types of evidence are the reports of a psychologist. Sometimes the abuser has mental illness, and I can document that mental illness because the abuser has been hospitalized or has been seeing a therapist or has been seeing a psychiatrist, or uses medication for anxiety, for depression, for schizophrenia, for whatever it is. And so you have to start submitting different kinds of evidence about the abuser and why this person acts like an abuser. I have many cases where the abuser is the children. It's a son over 21 or a daughter over 21, and they're drug addicts. And whenever they are high, they come home and they end up beating or abusing the mother or the father. In those cases, the parents don't call the police, but I know they're being victims of abuse. So how do I prove it? Well, sometimes I have to submit the hospital records for whenever those kids end up in the hospital, or the criminal records because they have had many DUIs or possession charges from the police. And so all these things become circumstantial evidence to prove that the story or the suffering of the parents are valid, are true, are real. So the first question that most people normally ask me is how filing for VAWA will affect my abuser. And I know some of you don't understand this part. Why would the victim want to protect the abuser? Well, it's very common and we are now nobody to judge. We don't judge. All we want to do when we try to work on a VAWA case is to help the victim escape the cycle of violence. And the best way to help a victim escape the cycle of violence is to give them the tools to be able to support themselves. And VAWA provides the victim with an employment authorization, with a social security number, with the ability to move on with their lives without the fear of deportation and without the fear of not being able to find a job to support themselves. So whenever I have these persons come and talk to me about a possible VAWA case, I don't judge. I only want to help. So the first question they normally ask is, how will this affect my abuser? Well, it really doesn't affect the abuser, because if the abuser is a U.S. citizen, nothing is going to happen to them because you filed an immigration application. It has nothing to do with them. If they are not U.S. citizens, and it's only the person, if the person has committed already a crime of domestic violence, they already are in trouble for their own actions. The fact that you will file for VAWA is not going to make it any worse. They are already in trouble because of their actions. So it doesn't really affect the abuser if you as a victim file for VAWA. So how does this process work? The process starts by filing an application. The application right now takes about a year to be processed and for an officer to make a decision. Once the application is approved, then the person is eligible to ask for the green card. And then we do a process called adjustment of status. And sometimes we can apply both at the same time, the VAWA petition and the green card at the same time, especially when the abuser is a U.S. citizen spouse or son or daughter. And in those cases, I can apply at the same time. Right now, in the case of a legal permanent resident spouse, I can also apply at the same time. If the abuser is a legal permanent resident kid, I don't think I can do VAWA, but with a legal permanent resident spouse, yes, I can. So in those cases, when I apply for the adjustment of status, I apply inside the United States. It doesn't matter how is that the immigrant is here in the United States. It doesn't matter if the person is undocumented. It doesn't matter if the person has other kind of visa, tourist visa, investment visa, student visa. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the person entered undocumented or if the person entered with some kind of visa. The only thing that matters is that the person is being a victim and that we are filing inside the United States, and the person is going to ask for their green card inside the United States. The great thing about VAWA is that the public charge does not apply to VAWA. So if you decide to do a VAWA case, you don't have to worry about the public charge. You don't have to worry if your children are receiving medical benefits, medical insurance from the government or any of that. Because VAWA does not look at the public charge. the public charge does not apply to VAWA. So if you are a victim of domestic violence and you're listening to me today, please talk to a lawyer. Talk to a lawyer and ask all your questions. Talk to a lawyer and make the decision whether to fix your papers inside the United States without the fear of doing waivers and leaving to your home country, or you remain in the relationship and you try to do a family case, in which case you will have to do waivers. Most likely you will have to go to your home country and you will have to be subjected to the public charge. So VAWA, it's a beautiful visa. It has to be used only when there is evidence of the abuse. The abuse can be either psychological or can be physical. But look, you have to have a well-documented case before you file. Don't file for VAWA just because it doesn't have the public charge and because it's all inside the United States. You really need to have been a victim. So it's a beautiful visa. I hope that if you're listening to me today, you will be able to spread the word and share this program with all your friends and family. We never know when we have a victim of domestic violence. Most likely they don't talk, they don't tell anybody what they're experiencing or what they're living. So just share just share the love. Share the love, and let's hope that we will be helping at least one person today escape the cycle of violence. I am going to try to answer questions. Let me see if I find any questions in English. Federico is seeing us from Guinea. Hi, Federico. Enrique, Bamako City. Gert dice, good day. Please, could you let me know how is the process for I-730 on the NBC? Do we do the DS-260? Thank God bless. I don't know what is the I-730. Let me, or at least I haven't looked at it that way. Let me see if I can. I-730. Oh, that's for refugees. The I-730 is the refugee asylee relative petition. You have to file inside the United States. And you have to file within 2 years after you arrive. So this is when the I-730 we do when a person comes as a refugee. Once they are admitted as refugees, they have 2 years to file petitions for their direct family members, for their spouse and their kids. And you have to do it within 2 years. You have to file inside the United States, either to the Nebraska Service Center or the Texas Service Center. Then the Service Center is going to send the documents to the National Visa Center. The National Visa Center is going to contact you inside the United States to do the process. And then they're going to send an interview date to your family member. I don't remember at right now if we have to do the DS-260. I know that was your question. I don't remember right now, but I'll look into it. And next time I'm live, I will answer your question. Anna says, just passing by to wish you a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Eagle says, one DUI affects VAWA. Any criminal record affects VAWA. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you, no. But if you have a good explanation and if you show rehabilitation, then it could be waived. The government can still approve your VAWA case, notwithstanding the fact that you have a DUI. Many times, alcohol issues, drug issues are related to the abuse. And if we can tie them to the abuse, and if we can show complete rehabilitation, then we have better chances of getting our case approved. Okay, guys, well, those were my questions in English for the day. I think, let me double check. I thank you again for being with me today. Please spread the word. I am trying to do this every Monday. I hope that this will help a lot of our immigrant community who speaks English and who needs to ask questions to an immigration lawyer. I provide general information. I cannot answer your specific questions because we don't have an attorney-client relationship, but I think it's important to spread the word, to share general information about immigration laws. So please subscribe, get the notifications, and spread the love. I will see you again next week, hopefully. Bye-bye.